Blessings, everyone. Well, happy almost All Hallows Eve, or whatever that you celebrate. Right now, Spirit was encouraging, because the veil is very, very thin, to do a reading from Spirit and Energy Oracle. And many of us have been hoping that we would have signs, messages, synchronicities, maybe dreams of those that we love that are across the veil. Many of us have been trying very, very diligently to do some shadow work, release work, energy healing, so that when we're meditating and we're in that sacred space, that we can hear from our guides, connecting with our higher self, and experiencing the angelic realms or the ascended masters. Many of us would also like to hear from our galactic family. And right now, it's well known, everybody has been talking about that during this time of year, no matter where you are on the globe, for whatever reason, the veil gets very thin. And this is the time when we are in this sacred space and we're allowing ourselves to release. We find it very difficult, I believe, when a lot of people are in a space of, especially if we're doing the shadow work, that there's residual energy. And one thing Spirit has really encouraged recently is to make sure that we don't leave an energetic imprint when we're doing the shadow work. If we've been having some sadness and allowing ourselves to express that, or maybe we've had frustration, grief, many of the heavier energies, that it's important that we, whether it's a secret ritual that we do or setting an intention, make sure that the area, the space that we are in when we're in our stillness, our meditation, doing our dream work, feels really peaceful. And one of the things that Spirit, I do singing bowls, and I share a lot of singing bowl videos, but Spirit introduced me to the Tibetan bells. And one of the things that I work with a lot is sound. And so something simple, even if we have a small bell, if you have a crystal glass that you could lightly tap. Many of us do smudging. You'll see behind me, I have plenty of crystals. I work with every form, every modality personally that helps to clear the energy out. And that is so important when we want to do this work, because just the residual energy that could be there, not only metaphysically is it holding a denseness around us, but mentally it's a reminder of something that we've maybe processed, healed, been through. And so it's good to just, these little rituals help us to remind us that we no longer need it. And so it's encouraged right now. Spirit has stepped forward and gave me this message before I started the reading to encourage others to make sure after they're done, whether it was dream work that we did throughout the evening, again, healing, meditation, singing bowls. There's so many different forms, drumming, even humming. Anything that we've done to clear our spiritual energy and our physical energy, we need to make sure that the energy around us feels the same, so that we're in the same frequency as what is surrounding us as we set our intention. And it helps to bring the energy through the very thin veil at this point, holds it around us easier. When our space is energetically clear and our being is energetically clear, that gives us more to work with. So first, I would like to say thank you to Source for allowing me to be a medium of light. And I ask Spirit to step forward during this time when the veil is very thin, to help bring a message for the collective, for the highest good. Thank you, I'm grateful. And when this happens, when I use the word Spirit, this just tries to express the energy of all in the unseen world. And the word spirit is vast. It could be loved ones, it could be guides, angels, ancestors, light beings, ascended masters, galactic family. Any of those whose frequency is resonating in a way that our physical eyes cannot see. And then what I do is I do 3. The first shuffle always embodies the energy of source and aligns in the Trinity. The second embodies spirit and higher self in the Trinity. And the third embodies soul, which is the beautiful story. It helps us embody a personality, helps animate the physical as we tell our story here. And then I just kind of move the cards around and Spirit says, take this one. Currents of emotion, uncontrolled feelings. And as the energy steps forward in spirit in the unseen world, they are saying simply that during this time, a lot of us will be experiencing some of the most extraordinary moments, whether it's smelling our loved ones through the veil or a memory that we haven't thought of in a while pops into our head. Maybe we have a dream that's very strong and we don't want to wake up. We feel like we were just with them. And maybe our favorite song comes on the radio that reminds us of them. A lot of the experiences will bring up our emotions. And they understand. Spirit doesn't want us to punish ourselves, especially if we're in a time of grief. The emotions are the physical representation of everything that gathers energy within us. We have an emotional body, like we have a light body, we have an energy body, we have the physical body, and we have the spiritual body. The emotional is just like a version of the physical. And it allows us, when we direct the emotional energy in a way that can bring us to a high. If we are in a space of grief and we are crying and we're feeling very sad, sometimes the physical body will shake. Sometimes we feel like we're going to faint. Sometimes we have a stomach ache. We can get a panic attack. Sometimes it literally feels like we could die from the pain that we believe is in our heart and our soul from the grief, that we can't even handle it. And Spirit is saying that we shouldn't punish ourselves over this. But what we need to be aware of as we're going through this is all this emotional energy needs a release. And the most detrimental part of that is when we get into that space where we tell ourselves, I shouldn't be feeling this. Oh, I got to get past this. Let me not focus on this and let me just pretend that I'm feeling good. Like they say, fake it till you make it. And there are some times when we're in survival mode, Spirit is saying, that can help us process. But the denial or the burial of these emotional experiences is what causes the physical body to react. And then we wind up with all kinds of ailments. And many of us are starting to really understand the connection now between those backaches, those stomach aches, the migraines, the chest pain, the weight gain, all of these things that settle into the body. And they don't want us to fixate on it and stay in that space either. When we're in a place of grief or we're feeling emotional, sometimes our emotions are all over the place. Sometimes we feel like we've experienced 4 seasons in one day. We've had some really profound sadness And then we've had some anger, frustration. Maybe we've experienced some fear and doubt. And moments of happiness when we're going through this, when we're going through grief especially. There isn't any one set experience, and we all know this, because at one point or another we're all going to experience this on some level. What we don't want is for our emotions to become like the sea. We don't want to drown. We don't want to get to the point where emotions become what propels us forward or holds us back. We want to get to a place where we're feeling what we're feeling and we're releasing. If we're feeling anger, maybe we can go for a run. Maybe we can get a bunch of old newspapers and just start tearing into everything. I remember they're showing me my grandfather when I was a kid. He used to go outside with the hatchet and start chopping the firewood and get rid of it. Sometimes we just got to scream at the top of our lungs in the shower. And sometimes the anger gets released in tears because we're so overwhelmed and we don't know what to do with the energy. Or sometimes we're feeling something and we're not even sure what we're feeling, but it's overwhelming and we have nowhere to put it. We don't know what to do with it. So it's okay to feel. It's okay to fall apart. It's okay if we have to break a dish. As long as we're not embodying that energy because we want to stay in that space. We're not feeling these feelings because we want to prove a point to ourselves or anyone. We're not feeling these feelings because we want to direct them at others. We're experiencing an event, a situation, an inner struggle that needs expressing and releasing. And it's easier said than done. A lot of times, Spirit is saying, we have those that tell us, why don't you try journaling? Or go run on a treadmill when you're upset. Or try to do things that make you feel better. Go take a nice bubble bath, light some candles, and put some essential oils in the water and kind of zen out. And that's easier said than done. Sometimes when we're enraged, we have to be alone. We have to sit with that energy. We have to feel the energy. We have to let ourselves be angry. Sometimes when we're really sad, when we're feeling grief, where we're missing our loved ones, it's ripping the heart out of us. There's no putting on some really great John Denver music and singing Sunshine on My Shoulders and watching a comedy and feeling better. Sometimes the feeling better is actually saying to ourselves, you know what? I'm crying. This is hurting. It's ripping the heart out of me. And I just got to do this because we love ourselves enough. But we want to be able to have a safe ground that we know. We set what we call personal boundaries because we cannot set boundaries on others. We can only set boundaries within ourselves. And Spirit is saying, allow ourselves to fall apart. Don't try to make it better. Feel it. Cry. Sometimes they're reminding me, I've gotten to the point in grief where I actually physically got sick. My stomach was unwell and I cried myself into the point where you literally have no more tears anymore. It's just, you kind of just staring off into space with swollen eyes and an aching belly. And then you curl up in a ball, you pull the covers up over us, and you just kind of breathe. That's what we do sometimes. But they're saying we're not doing this as an intention. We're not setting this as the way we want to be. we're experiencing. And this is a big difference. People have to understand that, say, get over it or get past it or don't let yourself in that space. That's because they're afraid. They think that that's the intention of what we want to do, or we're choosing how we want to feel. And sometimes it's okay to choose to feel the grief or the anger or the fear. Because in this space, it's teaching us something. When we're in the throes of grief and we've been through all that, we've cried ourselves into oblivion, now we're curled up with the blanket, just breathing, kind of surviving, existing. We are going to learn how to heal ourselves. We are going to learn the gentleness that comes next. We're going to remember self-soothing and what feels good. We're going to remember those personal boundaries that says, I'm going to allow myself to do this, but I am not going to continue to do this. That's where the choice comes in on what we feel. We recognize that what we're feeling doesn't make who we are. It doesn't dictate our character. It's reflecting an experience. And the saying they're saying, you got to feel it to heal it, is the truest saying. Because once we get past that experience, the intense part of any of these feelings, any of these emotions, whether it's anger, fear, sadness, grief, that we look at it objectively and we say, this was an expression. This is a reaction to a situation, to an experience. And then we gently shift when we're ready. Sometimes we have to exhaust it. Sometimes we get into the place, whether, I know there's been times when I've been so afraid or nervous about something that I've worn myself thin. In the past, I've done this so many times. The next day you walk around kind of like in a fog, feeling like, oh my goodness, I'm physically almost numb. And that's the opportunity of a reset button. Where can we go from there? Because once we've exhausted the sadness, the grief, the anger, the fear, and we're in that space, what I call the numb, what happens next is the choice. What do we do with that? What can we do for ourselves? That's when taking the bubble bath with the essential oils can really be beneficial. That's when getting on the treadmill might stir something inside. That's when going for the walk in nature can reach into that soul level of being. That's when listening to our favorite song reaches the heart space. When we're in the midst of everything, it's very easy to have that self-talk that we're just gonna snap out of it, or we got to get out of this, or this isn't the way to think and feel. We give ourselves time to process and recognize that we're not trying to drown ourselves in the emotion. We're experiencing that. That takes a lot of courage. It takes a lot of self-love, and it proves the point of know thyself, because we know that all we're doing is processing and experiencing, that we're not becoming. What happens after is what we become. When we make that choice from that place where we can no longer feel the feeling that we were engulfed in, that we see the new days, the new opportunities, the new moments. Maybe we won't feel utter joy after that. That's a process to get to that. But if we feel enough that making that cup of tea and having a sandwich sounds really good, then we know that we're learning from it. We know we're processed. We know we've set that boundary for ourselves. So it's not about enough is enough. Or we choose to feel this or that. No, sometimes we don't, Spirit is saying. Sometimes it's not a choice that we feel sad. It's not a choice that we feel angry. And maybe a lot. I'm not a psychologist. They want me to say this. So this isn't talking from a psychological point of view. This is raw, spiritual process. Because we can't take the spiritual process and bypass anything. We have to feel, we got to feel. And being in tune with spirit doesn't take the lessons away or the challenges. It just gives us a tool on how we can use it to navigate through it. It's the light at the end of the tunnel, so to speak. And it's they keep bringing my notice to the wind outside. We're having a storm today, so this is very fitting. The storm doesn't engulf itself. The storm didn't choose to be a storm. It is what it is. But eventually it dissipates. And the most powerful choice through all of this is after we felt what we felt, after we processed, maybe we've even taken some time to understand where these emotional things come from, then we choose what is next. Then we choose. And sometimes, yes, we need to call a friend because we're in a funk and we can't get out of it. Or maybe we have to watch a video and be encouraged by someone reading a tarot card. Or maybe we do have to get up and put our sneakers on and go for that walk in the park because we've been sobbing for days on end. But that's that point. And there's no time limit unless we set a boundary that there is. But we have to be okay with all the experiences. We have to be okay and not punish ourselves when we are going through something and we're processing it and we're feeling it, because we know once we're done with that, that's not something we have to go back to. That's the choice. I know what this is. I know what that space feels like. I don't think I want to go that deep again. I feel sad right now and I feel like I'm going to cry a little bit, but I'm not going to fall apart and curl up in a ball and put the blanket over my head from it. I've done that before. I know what that feels like. I don't think it served anything for me. So now I'm making the choice. So until we've been in that space, until we understand what's going on and why it's going on, sometimes we just need to go through it. And then, through the veil, once we've cleared the space, we cleared the energy, we've gotten ourselves in a good area, we can connect with all of those that love us, all of those that are reaching. They're not going anywhere. They're waiting for us. They're encouraging us. They're wanting us to allow ourselves to experience what we can. Because also, for every profound sadness, there is an innate love. There is a joy. For every frustration and anger, there is a profound sense of satisfaction on the other side of that. And for every fear, there is a courage that even words could not describe. The unfathomable courage to continue and go on the course. So all of this teaches us the contrast. And that's something I always try to remember, and they're saying to mention this. That when we're sad and we're going through the grief, just remember, always there's an opposite of that. And as deep as we go into the grief, the sadness, the frustration, the anger, we're going to find that we go as high. And then The most beautiful gift is we learn balance. So they're pulling their energy back. I hope this message finds everyone well, and that everybody that may listen to this gets to have that moment when they're hearing from whoever they're trying to reach to, whether it's guides, loved ones, angels, ancestors, light beings, our beautiful pets in spirit. They're all around us right now. And even if we are not hearing them or feeling them or sensing them and dreaming, talk to them from the heart space. While we're curled up in the ball crying, talk to them. They're listening. And when we're ready, we'll experience what we need to experience in a way that we will not doubt that it's them. Much love, everyone. Many beautiful blessings.